is the expansive sound of Canada's the Besnard Lakes. From their 7th album, the Besnard Lakes are the Ghost Nation. Here is band leader Jace Lasik to tell us how and why the band made music that is both playful yet thoughtful, all the while dealing with a political climate that has made touring difficult.
You know, I work with bands for a living as well. Like, I'm a music producer, so I do, and I'm working with bands all the time, and you know, we still have to make a living. So you know, this going to the States is, you know, a lot of ways how we make our money touring. So bands are still going down there, and I don't really hear of any major problems that are happening with them. Of course, you always hear like there's always a crazy story, of course, and then everybody gets scared. But you know, it's you know, it's a circus. It's all about a hoopla and a lot of, you know, everybody's just blowing hot air, you know, but there's also like some really scary, horrible shit going on. And you know, music is an emotional thing, and creativity comes from, you know, those kinds of things. And so this sort of, you know, trepidation and worry just sort of comes out, you know, in the album. Although the album does feel pretty playful to us,
right,
as opposed to like Thunderstorm, which was really quite heavy, you know. Emotionally. So we're pretty happy that this record has come to be, you know, through all of like the things that are going on in the world. We always want our records to be sort of an escape from those things, you know.
Yeah. So was that the plan going in, making this record, to make it more playful, or did it just happen that way?
It just happened that way. We had a bunch of really loose ideas left over from Thunderstorm. And we took an approach that we'd never taken before. Usually it's Olga and I sitting in the studio putting everything together, and then we take kind of a pretty much mostly finished record to the rest of the band. And they, you know, Kevin redoes his drums, and Gab puts the guitar solos and extra little guitar stuff, and Sheena does some keyboard stuff. But usually like the whole basis is kind of laid out. And this record, we didn't do that. There were a few songs that, yes, they were, but there were like 2 or 3 tunes. One of them is actually Kevin's song, our drummer. He wrote this song, and that's how I met him in like 2003.
Right.
It's Clouds Are Casting Shadows. That song, he recorded that with me in 2003, and then we became friends, and then he became part of the band, and then his band sort of, you know, took a back seat to Besnard. But I always couldn't, you know, really forget this tune that he had written. We gathered up the band, and we went to this barn, my friend's barn out in the Laurentians, is about an hour out of town. And we holed up there for 5 days and worked on the tunes together, and we all kind of added our pieces, and they helped us arrange the tunes, and yeah, I think it turned out great.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's probably, I think it's the shortest song on the album, but it has the longest title.
Yeah. Something's always got to be long with us. Yeah.
Well, most of the tracks are pretty lengthy. And the lengthiest one is, I think it's Pontiac Spirits, which is, from what I read, the centerpiece of the record. And Kevin's daughter is on that. Is that right?
Yeah.
So tell what do we need to know about that, since it's the centerpiece?
Everything is into my
Yeah, well, this was all part of the whole. That was one of the songs that came in just as a simple riff. There was no arrangement or anything, and I kind of had an idea of what I wanted the arrangement to look like, and so we went up to this, to this barn in the Laurentians. It's Rebecca Foon's place. She's a cello player. She used to be the cello player in Silver Mount Zion. We become great friends. I produce a lot of her records, and so she let me go up there and spend 5 days recording. She's got this big beautiful barn. So we brought the band up, but the families came up too because it's quiet and it's beautiful, and it's a nice little getaway to get out of Montreal. So Kevin brought Annie, which is our tour manager, and his girlfriend, and now they're actually just newly married last week, which is fantastic. And his daughter Agnes, she's taking oboe lessons. So we were just adding stuff to that song and just throwing stuff at the wall. And she brought her oboe, and we were like, we're gonna put this song on loop for you, put the headphones on, and just play a bunch of lines. We're not going to tell you what to write. We're not going to tell you what to play. Yeah. Just play. And she played those lines. She played the line, and then she played another line, and then I stacked them on top of each other, and they were harmonized. So it's beautiful. Right. And I didn't auto-tune them. I didn't edit them. They're just as she played them, and they're just incredible. And we were all just kind of blown away. I was like, okay, well, there's the melody of the intro, and she just laid it down in like 5 minutes. So she's got the gift.
She reaping a big composer royalty from that one.
Oh yeah. We're gonna be so rich.
Yep.
With an 8-minute long crescendo. Yeah.
Right. and I think I read that the song is kind of an ode to a spiritualized album. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've been trying to recreate spiritualized latest laser guided melodies ever since we started. We've always considered ourselves to be a cross between the Beach Boys, spiritualized, and David Lynch, Twin Peaks, Julie Cruz.
Which Beach Boys?
Pet Sounds, obviously.
Okay, not Kokomo.
Yeah. Not Kokomo, no. So yeah, we were like, we kind of started to do that on the EP on Prayers for the Death of Fame. After a Thunderstorm, we did a song called Silver Shadows, which is also sort of in the spiritualized vein. Right. And so Pontiac Spirits was another sort of attempt for us to kind of like pay an homage to those early spiritualized records, which I mean, they're that's some of my favorite music of all time. So
were you, what is it about spiritualized that connected with you?
I mean, when I was young, I did a lot of acid to that.
Oh, okay.
The spiritualized. So, but what makes spiritualized conducive to an altered state of consciousness is the idea of they're also extremely good at the slow build. They take their time to get to a certain spot, and it's also rooted in drone repetitiveness, simple melodies, just repeating and repeating, and then sort of adding a melody and adding a melody. And I learned a lot from that way of songwriting. Right. Them coming out of Spacemen 3, doing a lot of like very repetitive droney stuff. And then when Jason Pierce started Spiritualized, he started doing, the same sort of thing, but then adding melody on top of these, riffs that were just repeating and repeating, making me realize that you can just, you can make songs shift gears just by changing melodies, but keeping the root of what's happening. So that's kind of where what we were doing. Okay.
And speaking of drug experiences, I think, and pardon my butchering of the title, Chemin de la Bray, 3 years of French in high school, and that's where we're at, which you guys call your shoegaze song. So tell me how that came to be.
That is a song that came from a voice memo I found on my phone,
Right.
and I don't know even when I wrote that. But the interesting thing about the name of the song is, excuse me, when you put a voice memo in your phone, sometimes it puts the loose address of where you recorded the voice
Right, right.
memo.
Yep, sure.
And I mean, we live in Rigaud, which is about an hour outside of Montreal, and this street right here is the highway 342, but it's called Chemin de la Baie.
Right.
So it just put that on the voice memo. So that was kind of the working title for a while as we were building it up. But once we finished the song, I said to Augie, I'm like, okay, well, this song's kind of about, Monterey and, this like psychedelic experience that you have while walking the docks of Monterey or whatever, the ocean side or whatever.
Yep.
I'm going to call it Monterey. And she's like, no, it has to be Chemin de la Baie. It's
That's
the
cool. Well,
coolest
there's
name.
already another song called Monterey, so you
Yeah. Yeah. By the Beach Boys. Yeah.
and by the Animals.
And by the Animals. That's right.
So
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, you did the right thing here.
It's well used. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So do you do? I think give us our Dominion also began as a voice memo. It's interesting. Do you have lots of voice memos that you go back to and
Tons.
yeah,
Tons. I have years and years. I actually accidentally left my phone on the roof of a car and drove onto the highway a couple of years ago, and it shattered into a million pieces.
right,
I call it like one of the most violent moments of my life, and I don't back up my phone to the cloud. I back it up old school, like to computers, and I hadn't. When I looked to see when the last time I had backed up my phone was when I got my new phone, it had been about a year and a half. So I lost about a year and a half of voice memos. But when I looked, I was like, okay, I think I'll be fine. I have voice memos dating back to 2010.
crikey,
There's just piles and piles of stuff. So if I'm usually, at a loss for ideas, I will go through that, and I usually go right to the bottom. And
okay,
Dominion is there. It was one of the first voice memos, I think, on an iPhone that I did, but I
right.
could never finish it. It was always called unresolved because I never knew how to make it a song. It was just an idea. So this is there's always one on every record where I resolve myself to try to finish these stupid songs, and so that was one of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the first single, such as it is In Hollywood, which there's a video, and you name check Dave Grohl and Frank Stallone. What's going on there?
I was trying to think. I mean, the song's obviously about like the all things Hollywood, good and bad and weird, and and for a while there we were it was a bit of an inside joke because we were watching a lot of rock documentaries, and Dave Grohl is in a lot of
He's
them
in
as
all of them, yes.
in a talking head, and it's sort of like become like a bit of a joke or a bit of a meme, even
Yes.
if you will. So I was like, okay, well that was good. And then I was like, what's another sort of absurd person that I could put next to Dave Grohl that would kind of complete this like weird Hollywood thing? And I was trying to think of mostly Frank Stallone just came from like the way that it came out of my mouth. I was trying
Right.
to syllabically figure out someone
Yep.
that fit into like the way I was singing it. And Frank Stallone just popped into my head, and I was like, man, what a couple of two really odd juxtapositions, Dave Grohl and Frank Stallone. And I'm like, I mean, I always try to I always want to put a little bit of humor
Sure.
into our vocals or even our music. So, hopefully people find that a little bit funny anyway.
So if the Besnard Lakes gets a doco made about him, do you think Dave Grohl will make an appearance? Do you have
Oh
any?
God, I sure hope so. Maybe we'll get Frank Stallone to say some things
Or
too.
the
Who
two of them
knows?
together,
Yeah,
finally.
exactly. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
And what about the video? It looks like it's just a bunch of found footage. Is that what it is? Old stuff you.
Yeah, yeah. We went to the Internet Archive,
Yeah.
good old Internet Archive, and found like some random uploaded home movie. I actually had made. Uh, I made that video, and I actually had made another video. Um, I can't remember now the name of the. Oh, I think it's called Sunset Boulevard. There's a movie called Sunset Boulevard in the
Oh yeah.
50s. It's a film noir film. Yeah.
Very famous. I've seen it several times.
Yes. Yeah. And with the and it is public domain now in the
Oh,
States.
okay.
Uh, and so I made a whole video using that footage,
Right.
and then we were about to release it, and the label was like, and my managers were like, maybe we should just check on right just to make sure.
Yep.
And apparently, American copyright ends at different times than UK and
Yeah.
Canada and other parts of the world. So
Yep.
that was actually still under copyright control in different territories. So I had to make another video. But the first one is so great, using all that really cool film noir footage. It looks so beautiful.
Yep.
But anyways, the second one's this one, the one that everybody sees is really cool. But we have a Patreon page, so I'm probably going to try to sneak it on the original
Oh,
one onto a
oh, cool. Well, that'd be
Patreon
great.
page. Yeah.
So, the title of the album, "The Ghost Nation," what does that mean to you, or what
Yeah,
should it mean to us?
yeah. I mean, it feels kind of timely with nations, territories, borders. It all feels uh, so much more absurd these days, but so much more crucial to the reason why there's so much problem with everybody not getting along.
Right. Well, the same things. Obviously, the Middle East is an example of exactly that,
Yeah,
and that seems to be affecting everybody. We're having big protests even here in New Zealand about Palestinian rights and
of course.
all that stuff, and
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
goes to show that it's universal.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's a bit naive for me to say that it would be great to not have borders, but it would be great to not have borders.
Well, John Lennon was onto something there with Imagine.
Right, exactly, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
Look where it got him.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, nowhere. Yeah,
Yep, yep, no,
yeah.
no. Yeah, there's something to be said for idealism. You got to have a goal,
It's
I think.
true, you have to have a bit of hope, you always do. That's you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's I think there's a lot of hopelessness. People don't really know that if there's anything that can be done, and there's a lot of ideas of turning to violence, which obviously is like never the way. But it just seems I feel really bad for young kids coming up because I've never felt uh, this way before. Growing up, I had a great childhood and a lot of great memories, and I never really ever thought about this stuff at all into my teens and my 20s, growing up in the being a kid growing up in the 90s,
Yep,
and
yep,
and then now suddenly it's like it's in the this is it's permeates everywhere,
yep,
and it used to be much more of an abstract. Obviously this shit was always going on in different forms,
yep.
but it was a lot more in the undercurrent, and now it's just social media has just brought it right to the front.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.